Very unprofessional video production. Sorry about that. I made the stream private by mistake, and also it's what 7:13 p.m. on the East Coast. Impromptu. I'm going to start doing many more videos. I actually have a lot to say and a lot to share. Remember, I have a very strong macro background, a very strong fundamental analysis background, and I have analysts who are really churning around the clock. Engineers, developers. We're doing a lot. We're doing so much that I actually don't really have time to share. I'm not writing actively in the blog, but I see a lot of other analysis. There we go. Yeah, I see a lot of another analysis that's being spread throughout the web, videos, etc. I don't really agree with most of these guys and girls. So I want to put my perspective out. I'm not saying that I'm smarter. Good day, my friend. I'm not saying that I'm smarter than anybody per se, but I do have a very contrarian, a very different outlook. Today, um, over the last couple of days, I was going through a lot of the marketing material that I put out for the Very token and Veritasium back in 2015, 2016. And as a lot of you may know, I got into a tiff with regulators, and there were allegations of, this and that. But in looking at the marketing material, I'm really proud of my team. I really am, and proud of what we accomplished. And, I want to stay humble, but listen, let's be honest, I'm proud of myself. Let's just run through a lot of this, and then I want to take questions. Ask me questions on anything, on IP, and patents, on platform, network performance, on macro. The macro scene is big right now, and to a lesser extent, regulation. But if you remember, we did not write a white paper when we first started. We started immediately with product out the gate. Research that was available immediately. We had a new software product written shortly thereafter, and then two others written right after that. But in looking at the marketing material, we were discussing how important it was to come up with unique IP and to patent that IP early. This was contrarian because the open source culture, where a lot of the early blockchain apps stemmed from, just didn't believe in patenting, it's antithesis. Now, big boys are coming in, not so much the commercial banks. And commercial banks are coming in on the DeFi side, but we'll get to that a little later. But the venture capitalists are coming in and investing heavily now. Okay? And when there's money at stake, economics start to become very serious. So, one quick thing on open source. If you look at the last 30 years, okay, of technology, um, you had IBM, which didn't really care much about software. They focused on hardware. That was the IBM PC. And they actually outsourced the operating system and, outsourced the development of the operating system. So they were looking to purchase it. And they purchased it from this guy called Bill Gates. Okay, and Bill Gates allegedly didn't even have an OS. He went and bought it from somebody for $50,000. That's all she wrote. That was the birth of Microsoft. IBM realized how important A, the OS was, and B, the application layer on top of it. Too late by then, and now Microsoft, if I'm not mistaken, is bigger than IBM. But that was when revenue generation came from the sale of actual packaged software. So of course you close sourced it because that's where your money comes from. Remember, in the technology business or in any business, you cannot give away the product that generates your revenue because A, zero makes very bad revenue stream, and B, it also allows others to take your product and replicate it and compete against you. Okay, that didn't happen with IBM, with Microsoft or Oracle, etc. And then came the open source movement, where you were able to write software, either crowdsource it or individually, and you simply gave the software away. A lot of people are confused and think, well, that's the way business should be. That's not business. The key is their product was not the software. Any successful company relying on open source in terms of the actual revenue stream doesn't derive their revenue from the actual open source software. An example would be Red Hat. Red Hat works on, if I'm not mistaken, the Debian Linux distribution. I can't remember. I don't know. Can't remember which one, but it gives it away and it customizes it and gives a customized version away. But actual true customization, services, support, etc., they charge for. So they don't sell software. They sell services on top of the software, and that's how they make their money. Okay. Someone said IBM just bought Red Hat. It goes to show you that open source business model worked, but it didn't work because they're selling stuff for free. You can't sell something for free and succeed. Okay. Another example of that would be Google. Okay. Google's product is not searches. Okay. Google's product is you, or are you, plural. Okay. They're selling you, they give the searches away for free. They give a lot of their products away for free to get you to use their products. And then they mine your data and information and they sell your information. Or they capitalize on it by making products that gain value from your information. These are very, very important concepts. Now, all of it benefits from network effect and platform. These are all platform products. Microsoft benefits from being a platform. Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Outlook. These are all packaged closed source applications, but they become the standard. And once they become the standard, then everybody benefits from using it. Okay, so Microsoft makes more money by the more people who use it. But again, they don't give it away. Open source business model, where they do give the code away, also benefits from network effect. The more people that use it, the more standardized it becomes. Examples would be what's open source? Ethereum. Okay, the more people use Ethereum, the more valuable Ethereum is. Bitcoin, etc. The several distributions of Linux, blah 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 blah. Okay, now we move on to the next big paradigm shift, and that is the crypto business. And I think a lot of people who are strong technically, but maybe not as strong in terms of business models, finance and economics and investments, were under the impression that we should open source it, make it available to everybody, and give it away. That worked in the beginning, got a lot of adoption, especially those who are used to the open source culture. But as they start to compete, okay, and they put a lot of resources, either through sweat equity and venture capital, into writing the code, that code had proprietary value and business value. But guess what? You had Banco who raised 127 million or so dollars in their ICO. They did it right about the time that Veritasium did their ICO. Okay, they came up with a liquidity product for illiquid tokens. Uniswap, a young man who's right in Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken, where I am, came, right, forked it with a $100,000 grant from Consensus, as I remember, and voila, you have Uniswap. And if, according to the proprietor, Hex, or the Hex token, it was popularized by Hex, and then Uniswap took off. And Uniswap became the biggest DeFi platform, if I'm not mistaken, on Ethereum or in crypto. Until SushiSwap came in, grabbed the Uniswap code, forked it, pushed a little click, forked it on the GitHub, got $20 or $30 million of VC money, and they stole the user base and much liquidity from Uniswap. Okay? And then Binance came in, did a little financing with PancakeSwap. PancakeSwap went and grabbed the SushiSwap code, forked it, made some changes, added some yield farming. Voila. PancakeSwap is either the second or first largest of the automated market makers or continuous market makers. On and on and on. So the same thing happens in the lending. Okay, you have Compound, you have Curve Finance, you have Aave. Curve changed, or the DAO is petitioning to change the terms and licensing of their code to make it strictly from open source to forbidding commercial use of it. Why? Because they're getting forked. And unlike Red Hat, unlike Google, they have to actually sell use of their software. If you sell the use of your software and your software is available for free, no matter how good your developers are, they put a lot of time and effort into developing it, and someone just takes it and runs off. Now you have an a significant advantage in terms of development time and expenses that you didn't have to pay. So Curve is looking to actually go after those who broke their copyright. Uniswap changed their licensing for version 3 of their liquidity pool software contract. Okay, and now they are forbidding commercial use of it for a certain amount of time. And it's going to get worse and worse, or better and better, depending on which way you're looking at it. Now, you have all these commercial banks, and while the open source guys were creating code and giving it away for free, the banks in 2014, to a lesser extent, 2015 to a greater extent, to 2016 to an even greater extent, and 2017, 18, 19, and 20 to a significant extent, they've been writing patents. Okay? And they're locking in their IP. See, copyright is one thing, patent protection is another. Patent protection is much stronger. Okay? The reason they do that is they know that if they build a multi-billion-dollar business on a platform, they need to own that platform. Okay? This is how business is done, particularly in the finance field, where these guys have significant lobbying power, significant legal resources. So what we did, I'm a finance guy, macro, fundamental, and I ran small businesses. That's how I ate as a younger man. Not always successfully, but these mistakes teach you very valuable lessons. So we patented our ideas very early, and luckily our ideas were very early, because when everybody was looking at Bitcoins and worrying about the price going up and down, or thinking in terms of remittances by sending money competing with Western Union, I'm thinking in terms of conditional value transfer, swaps, and derivative platforms, and ability to replicate stocks and bonds. Very unique way of thinking way back then, because I wasn't tech. I was a tech head, but I wasn't a developer. Patenting these things, I did in the marketing software and the marketing materials. Now we're going to get back to the beginning of the conversation. Getting back into the marketing materials, I had patenting the future of finance, because I literally thought, honestly, that peer-to-peer, zero trust transactions was the future of finance. This was in 2013. I came up with the idea. I put the materials out, did the demo software, and put the patent filings in 2014. Fast forward to 2021, everybody's saying DeFi is the future of finance. Okay? I was actually called a fraud. Now, fast forward a little bit, discussing the ubiquity, okay, of being able to patent peer-to-peer transfer. I use as a way to explain my thought processes to a non-technical crowd. I said, imagine having the keys to the internet in 1993. Again, alleged as a fraud. Well, in going over potential infringers of the patent, and we're not going around looking for people to sue, but we are looking to do business with people. There's been an 8-year and counting battle to get these patents out, with massive amounts of stress, money, resources, etc. We went over the Lightning Network and the Lightning Network protocol, and as I understand it, and it's my opinion, that the Lightning Network protocol easily infringes upon the patent. Okay, so the Lightning Network protocol, in my opinion, is the most utilitarian aspect of Bitcoin right now. Okay, without that, honestly, Bitcoin is simply speculation. With the Lightning Network, you have a real strong utility case for Bitcoin, a very strong one. El Salvador, an actual government adopting it as legal tender. You have recently announced, you have Twitter, Tinder, Telegram, Twitter, same thing, all these T's. Jack Dorsey and Twitter using the Lightning Network for tipping, okay? And that's just the beginning, okay? think about this. In 1993, if you can patent the actual protocol, okay, the internet protocol, in 1993, this is pre-Google, pre-Amazon, pre-Netflix, okay, and you actually had a stake in every transaction made on that protocol, would that be a significant accomplishment? Okay, now the transactions on the Lightning Network protocol, quite possibly, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm giving you my opinion. Okay, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a developer, I'm not a lawyer, but I am very, very good at observing and reading. Okay, having that level of potential claim or influence at the protocol level is significant. And it is not just by a long shot the Lightning Network. Basically, any swap that's done through the blockchain, there's a possibility and a probability. So I'm not part of many clubs because I talk different, act different, think different, look different, live differently. And so I'm excised out of the clubs. But I have worked very hard, and now it looks like we may actually own the deeds to many of these clubhouses. Okay? I think with the right partners, we could push DeFi to the true democratization of finance and value transfer. I'm talking about enabling those with the meritorious bent, those who are willing to try hard enough and work hard enough to create value on an unforetold level, an unseen level, globally. This is really, really, really serious stuff. Okay? If I were to be banned from securities, etc., actually, I would have been done a favor because now I actually see where the value add truly, truly is. And that is at the IP level, the property level, intellectual property level. So with that being said, I want to espouse and speak my piece. Oh, and intellectual property is property, just like real property, financial property, investment property, etc. So if you buy a house, consider that a property. Consider someone living in your house for free, taking your house from you and using it, outsourcing your house. Would you be happy with that? So remember, property is property. Intellectual property, real property, financial property. Property is property. It's ownership. It's capitalism, and it's constitution. It's part of the Constitution. Fifth and 14th Amendment, if I'm not mistaken. So let's get to all these questions now. Uh, I don't deal much in cannabis. I've outgrown that. Haha. So I don't have a lot of answers for cannabis, not recently. We'll go to just from you. What's the process of writing out a patent? Is there a specific outline you have to follow? That's a legal question, so I'm not going to deal with that. That's not really germane to the this particular topic. You can Google that and look it up, and there are plenty of patent attorneys around as well. Congrats to the patents. Do you own the patents personally or patents owned by any of your business entities? I don't really want to discuss that either because that is, private business. Okay, but we have control of the patents. Reggie, make sure you make the government pay when they come back and ask you to use Very. Well, I don't want to discuss any beefs with the government, but needless to say, I wasn't very happy with the way things went down. But I'm a very positive, joyous man, and I'm looking to create joy and cheer throughout the world. Let's put it that way. Give me 1 second. Since this was impromptu, I actually have to open the door. And keep asking questions, by the way. I'm going to get to the questions in a minute. And I cannot. Okay, so from the beginning, the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling thing is political theater. I know it sounds critical, but keep in mind, sovereign finance is a totally different world from personal finance. So the debt ceiling is political theater. I would like to get into it, but this wouldn't be the purview for that. What you just keep creating other things. I would love to create more things, but unfortunately, the regulatory environment here is very, very hostile. But I created the IP, which is probably the most important thing I created. There are many other portions and bits of IP that I created as well. Unfortunately, not all of it was patented. A lot of it, almost all of it, was put to use though. And I can't go through that in detail, but enough of the stuff was patented that I can create intellectual property constructs that can be licensed out to further the industry. A very good example would be Qualcomm and how Qualcomm takes their intellectual property and basically creates a machine out of it to license to others, and that allows the furtherance of the industry at a much, much more rapid clip than Qualcomm ever could if they attempted to build out chips and fabs themselves. Okay, so think of how Qualcomm enables Samsung and Apple telephones and Xiaomi and Huawei. Perfect example. Many banks are pure annotated RICO. I'll make that your opinion, and whether I agree with it, I'm not going to comment on. Remember the bank's business model, though. A bank's business model is solely that of a gatekeeper. They collect economic rents. And so a bank makes money by taking Gary and Gina and standing in between them and then collecting a fee when they pass money to each other. Okay, or enabling them to pass money to each other. A perfect example. Oh, by the way, now that I mention it, there's 125 people online. That's not bad for Impromptu. I would like 2 or 3 more than that. 2 or 3 times that, not 2 or 3 more. So everybody, please click the like button. Click it hard so you can hear that snapback. Okay, if you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button and click the notification button to all, because I'm going to start making a lot more videos. Potentially daily, no real big production, just me speaking freely. I'm going to put out a lot of my opinion on markets, investment, macro, geopolitics, and crypto in a big way. Crypto is my entire life now. It's been my entire life since 2014, 15. Okay, and now we're really ramping up because of our intellectual property awards. Okay, so I'm gonna try and do this daily, and I'll try and download and dump, my meager knowledge and intellect into everybody who follows me on Twitter and or YouTube Live and Telegram. So I was just saying, a bank's business model is to act as an economic rent seeker and or a gatekeeper. They have to stand in between savers and borrowers. Okay, savers are people who put their money in checking and savings accounts. Borrowers are people who make or borrow money through loans. That's how banks traditionally make money. There are other ways they do it, but the other ways they do it still stands as the gatekeeper, such as transaction processors. So investment banks process transactions through brokerage. Investment banks raise capital by, again, getting savers, such as investors, and putting their money into those who need capital, such as companies who are looking to go public. So no matter which way you look at it, the bank stands as a middleman. The big threat is that standing as a middleman is a threat when you have technology that is guaranteed to eliminate the middleman. As a matter of fact, that's the entire value proposition, is the elimination of the middleman. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that banks are going out of business. And I've said this many times before. Ever since I created this intermediation mantra and DeFi, I think I'm the first to use that term back in 2014. Middlemen are wanted. They're needed if and only if, on the needed part, they could be wanted if the parties are ignorant, but they're needed if and only if they add requisite value to the transaction. Okay, so if the participants in that transaction are wealthier, have more safety or transparency, or better off with that middleman there, then all 3 parties want the middleman there. Most banking transactions, with the advent of truly self-sovereign crypto technology, don't add requisite value. Some don't add value at all, requisite or not. Okay? But that changes. We just let the market evolve. And let the market evolve, and not the market with the winners and losers selected by more significant a power. Reggie Swap, so very thank you everybody. I am not pushing or advocating Very tokens right now. The Veritasium community is very, very active though in building out ways where they can maximize the utility of Very by petitioning the regulators for no action letters, hiring counsel. They're building a DAO, etc. I recommend everybody go, if you're not already there, to the Veritasium official Telegram group on Telegram. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and we've created a community of very, very smart, very, very dedicated, very, very ethical people. A real community, and I'm quite proud of it. You're not winning this way. I have no idea what he means by that, but I think he's wrong. We're doing rather well, but thank you for your input and feedback. The one and only, thank you for the kind words, everybody. I do appreciate it. Let's see here. We can never ever again allow private central banks to loot the planet Earth. Well, a lot of the functions of central banks or private central banks, a lot of the functions can be made moot with certain systems in place. That doesn't mean that they're not needed, but a lot of their functions would be obsolesced or deprecated, and they would have to do other things. Not everything, though. I'm not saying all central banks are bad. Get rid of the central bank. Central banks play a role primarily in keeping a sovereign nation's currency, a sovereign nation's currency sovereign. Most nations, most of the powerful developed nations, they derive a lot of their power, potentially the vast majority of it, from their currency. Example number one is the US with the global reserve currency status. Our ability, or the US's ability to sanction nations who don't agree with their foreign policy, follow their economic dogma, etc., can literally be cut out of the global financial system. Very, very painful, which is why everybody follows lockstep. The currency system, right? The why am I drawing a blank? I just said it. The default currency, right? The default reserve currency, global reserve currency, is a weapon that's probably more powerful than a nuclear bomb. Okay, and it can be used repetitively without significant blowback from any other country what a nuclear bomb would bring. The nuclear technology, or at least atomic bomb technology, was used once in combat, and that's in Japan. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, if I'm not mistaken, right? Okay, history could be off before I was born, but it was used once, multiple times in Japan. Okay, the damage that was done in Japan, I think, pales to the damage that was done through the reserve currency to nations such as Russia, whose military might was on par with the U.S. during the Cold War. Okay, or potentially China, to keep China in place, but not as bad, and you could fill in the blanks. So, right, this is like an atomic bomb that's been used multiple times over and over and over, okay, with the implicit or consent of the rest of the world. And consent can be used in quotation marks because there's not much of a choice. I go through this off-topic, macro, bad history lesson because some of my history is a little lax in saying that when you can change the structure of the global financial system, it is seen as a threat. Hence the aggression from the SEC, in my opinion, and many other regulatory bodies and central banks around the world. You know, they're saying crypto is bad, Bitcoin is bad. Nearly every major central bank is developing a version of their own crypto. Talking out of both sides of the mouth, the fear, the FUD is not necessary. This is actually a boom for central banks around the world because of the blockchain and the auditing system. You know, you see a trail of all transactions. You know, no central bank can afford to build something like that, but this is being given to them But because this was sold as a digital currency, it made those who deal in currency scared. Crypto is not a digital currency. Crypto is a value transaction platform. It's software, just like Windows operating system, just like the internet. Okay, it's a platform of which things are built on top of. Some young reporter decided to use currency because I guess they read the white paper or heard from someone who read the Bitcoin Satoshi white paper and Satoshi's Bitcoin white paper, and they just saw digital currency. Bitcoin is a digital currency application built upon a blockchain platform. That blockchain platform was made specifically for that peer-to-peer digital currency. Okay, currently Bitcoin doesn't act as a peer-to-peer digital currency. It acts as a source of speculation. But the Lightning Network fulfills that peer-to-peer digital currency aspect of the original Bitcoin white paper, which makes it very important. The world sure needs me. Appreciate it. Thank you. What happened to contract in Africa? Unfortunately, that's private, but I can say that I don't think we had contracts and deals going throughout much of West and Southern Africa, the Caribbean, etc., in Canada. But the litigation issues made it very difficult to keep those going, unfortunately. But we will be back. Africa is ripe for this technology. Africa suffers from two things. It suffers from being the wealthiest nation or wealthiest continent in the world, without a close second. I think a close second would probably be North America, okay, with the US. But that wealth and natural resources, for a lot of geopolitical and historical reasons, was not allowed to be sold directly into the market. So even though that continent is the wealthiest continent in the world, from a natural resources perspective, geopolitically, socioeconomically, it is the poorest continent in the world. Why? Because that wealth of gold and oil and bauxite and fish byproducts and timber, ore, etc., diamonds, it can't be sold directly to the market, right? The market was structured where the Africans have to sell it to economic rent seekers and gatekeepers. And then those economic rent seekers and gatekeepers then sell it into the market and have the nerve to actually sell it back to the Africans at a premium. So the Africans sell their natural resources at a discount. Let's use Nigerian oil or Ghanaian oil, right? Nigeria and Ghana, two of the biggest oil producers in the world, right? Like much of Africa, okay? Some of the biggest oil producers in the world. They sell their oil at a discount because it doesn't fit into the regular categories that are dealt with on the COMEX or the NYMEX, etc., and the major oil trading facilities. So there's a discount to Nigerian oil as compared to Brent sweet crude or Brent or sweet crude, okay, or WTI oil. So they sell their oil at a discount, okay, to a gatekeeper or a rent seeker, a middleman. That middleman then takes it, right, and sells it back to Africa at a premium. So despite the fact that Nigeria is rich in oil, right, their gas prices are outrageously high as compared to Saudi Arabia, which is also very rich in easily attainable oil. Their gas prices are very low because Saudi is allowed to sell directly out. Okay, now there's a lot of activity in Nigeria. There's native Nigerians such as Dangote, easily a billionaire. I calculated when I was over there, he's between 4 and 7% of the Nigerian GDP. He's looking to build vertically in oil so they can actually process and deal with their oil directly with the markets. That would be a geopolitical thing, not just a financial thing. But there's also the ability to use peer-to-peer value transactions where you can sell directly into the market. And that's what Veritasium was on the African continent to achieve. Okay, I don't want to go any further on that. But anybody's interested, bring it up and we could discuss it later on. Hello from Spain, distributed ledger technology, no more hiding transactions. It's possible to hide them if you want to, but transparency actually brings more value. How we get all these dexes to fork over royalties? Well, I'm not looking to sue anybody. Okay. It's just not my cup of tea. I get sued. I don't like it. But at the same time, with the recognition that you're using somebody's property, I would love for people to do business with me. If you want to use something that doesn't belong to you and you don't want to do business, then you're starting a fight, not us. Okay. But I hopefully don't see that to be the case. Um, there a strong portion, a strong contingent of Wall Street is actually using DeFi. Most people don't use that, realize that. Take a look at Ripple and Ripple's clients. Okay, Ripple's product is a DeFi product. Okay, and so the users of the Ripple product, particularly products such as on-demand liquidity, is DeFi, right? Definitively and provably. So those banks and those exchanges and institutions and credit institutions and credit card companies, etc., that are using this DeFi, they're part of the DeFi community. Just not the typical open source, smart contract, Uniswap, Pancake Swap, Sushi Swap, etc. Okay, different a different world, but DeFi nonetheless, and a lot of activities taking place there. Okay, you're just not going to read about it on CoinDesk. Okay, but I do want to go through that in depth, and I'm going to go through that in depth much more. So everybody, stay tuned. When I next couple of times you see me do these YouTube lives, or I get on and do a live demo, I'm going to pull up numbers and charts and graphs that will blow your mind because that's the work that we do over here. And that's how we came up with this IP in the first place very early on. I'm thinking well, 5 or 6 years before some of the earliest guys in the market. Do you have any connection, cannabis and crypto? Um, no, I do not. Peer-to-peer, no more middlemen. That's the key. No more unnecessary rent-seeking middlemen or rent-collecting middlemen. To do how do we get more information? By the way, anybody who wants to discuss licensing the IP from us, just contact me. Okay, that's the easiest way to do it. Cut very good deals. Watch out, property is on the same of owner. UCC, see Veritasium, Bitcoins. Okay, I see a lot of questions. A lot of them. Do do. The challenge of the future is educating the Justice Department on how to enforce and prosecute intellectual property. Well, the Justice Department doesn't is not in charge of that. There's actually courts that deal in patent law, um, as I understand it. The Justice Department, I guess, is overseeing. So I guess let me not speak out of my expertise. But patent law is its own um, expertise, okay, and its own how do I put it, profession. And in many jurisdictions, you have courts that deal primarily in patent law, intellectual property law, trademarks, copyrights, and patents. Keep up the good work. Big announcements coming soon. I have a lot of big things happening. Unfortunately, I can't announce everything for two reasons. Number one, it's private business. There were a lot of times where there's business that was semi-private that I was able to announce, and when litigation approached, it was used against me in a very, very nasty way. It taught me a lesson to keep my mouth shut. I do want to keep those who follow me abreast as long as there's a damage the company, me or the family or business partners or clients. Unfortunately, the way business is done here, that's not the case often. But when I can say something and I don't think there will be any significant blowback, I will, because I do want to tell the story of where we came from. Adversity, we were taken down completely without litigation, and we're back up and arguably stronger than ever. We shall see. Okay. What crypto portfolio would you recommend to somebody with a small amount of money? I We can have a show where we could discuss that. This would not be the time. I'm doing a speech, a virtual presentation tomorrow at the Black Blockchain Summit. Um, and if there's a Q&A there, we can discuss things like that there. Um, Again, not financial advice, just my personal opinion. Okay. In your opinion, do you think cryptos are here to stay? Okay, the short answer to that is absolute yes. Okay, but don't think of cryptos as tokens or things to invest in. Think of it as a paradigm shift of technology. That's like saying in 1998, do you think the internet is here to stay? You know, the internet is what basically life is built on right now. Okay, everything was co-opted and folded into the internet. Telephones, you don't have telephone wires. Things are actually sent through cellular waves. Okay, a lot of stuff is used IP packets when you go through the web, browsing the web, email, etc. Um, TV, radio, uh, business transactions, everything. People now, since the pandemic, don't even go to offices anymore. They sit back and they do Zooms. So, how the internet became ubiquitous in life, I believe that the technology shift, that the paradigm shift that is crypto, in terms of cryptocurrencies, which is a misnomer and misname, in terms as the paradigm shift of peer-to-peer value transfer, will subsume and absorb all value transfer. And 10, 15 years from now, people will be shocked to find out that someone lived without the ability to send value for pennies in seconds around the world, conditioned upon any type of programming you want to do via a contract. Just like if you're under 25 years old, you probably don't know the world without the internet. Okay, but when I was young, we had to go to a library and pull out books using the Dewey Decimal System and read, and you had to go to a mailbox and drop stuff in the mail. You know, technology was a fax. Okay, just a few years later, decade later, the internet was born. I'm a tech head. I'm a very early bleeding edge adopter of a lot of this stuff. So my perspective is a little skewed and different from the average person my age, older or younger. But if you look at how quickly the internet was adopted and the significant difference it made in personal and global and business and corporate life, multiply that by 2 or 3 and you will have crypto. Just don't think in terms of tokens and buying this token at a lower, higher price. Think about the paradigm shift that is the platform. Oh, my birthday was yesterday. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm a 54-year-old man now. And how long till you see again the unencumbered and I can speak freely about everything? I don't know if I ever can. Currently, the U.S. is picking winners and losers, and I'm not part of the club, so I will keep certain things quiet. But luckily, I think I was able to land a title to a clubhouse or two, so maybe I'm able to speak in there. We'll see. Any more videos concerning New York real estate? Yes, I will. Those are impromptu as I'm walking down the street and I see real estate falling apart, but the media pundits saying something different and prices, you know, using anything but math. So I will do a lot more impromptu videos. It's going to be my way of communicating now, taking my phone out, doing a brain dump of knowledge and observation for myself to anybody who follows me. Am I seeking freedom for humanity and crypto or more of the same? Well, freedom, that's a different, it's a difficult question, but crypto is not going to give humanity freedom. It's an enabling tool that humanity can use to obtain freedom, but crypto itself is not going to give freedom. Just like any other tool, a hammer is not going to give you freedom. What you do with a hammer may assist in you gaining freedom. Okay? When an interview with Cliff High, ask Cliff. Ask Cliff. Cliff is cool. I'm willing to talk to him anytime. He's a smart guy. Okay? 3 million active wallets with DeFi, still early. Very, very early. But not as early as you think. Remember, there's much more adoption than meets the eye. You know, CoinDesk and Cointelegraph doesn't give the full institutional perspective on crypto, in my opinion. Okay, so I see there's a few. How can we support you in your endeavors? I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Go over to the Veritasium official Telegram group. Join. Tell them you want to join a community and you want to see how you can make things move forward. Okay. Benefiting the community, it benefits me directly. If you want to help me directly or my small meager company, I welcome that as well. But it's a little more difficult and convoluted. For right now, just join the community and help out. The DAO is super exciting, and the DAO would simply be an outsourced, crowdsourced way of finding partners for Veritasium and our IP. Okay, so what I'm going to do is um, I'm going to end this because it's Friday night. It's a little late. I have to walk my daughter's puppy and I have to get food, but I will do this more often. I can't commit to daily, but I will do it impromptu. And if anybody can, if you wish, you can hit me on Twitter at Reggie Middleton on Twitter and tell me what time zone you're in and what time would be convenient. We'll see if we can get a time that's good for everybody. And I will try and standardize on that time so you have basically a daily time slot. And I'll do knowledge data dump you wouldn't believe. Also, a more constructive way of doing it is to go to the Veritasium official Telegram group and make your opinions known there. You can ask the administrators to create a poll, and everybody simply answer a poll to see what's the best time, because I have followers from all over the world. So Asia, Africa, Europe, Asia Pacific, and the US East and West Coast. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. If you have not hit like, please like the video. If you haven't shared it, share this video to all your friends on social media. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, and hit the notification button for all notifications. Okay? Thank you very much. I yapped for 46 minutes and 47 seconds. And I will do this again much more often. So you're not going to get polished productions like a lot of the guys, but you will get a lot of insight that is easily contrarian. Okay? And you get to peek into the mind of the guy who's sometimes, to his own detriment, pretty far ahead of everybody else. So it's not necessarily a good thing if you're 5 years ahead of everybody, and you can't get that traction gain. But I'm a very patient man. What other people think and other investors may think in terms of quarterly performance, I think in terms of decade performance. So I think of 5 years and 10 years out. Okay, it's been about 10 years, almost 8 years since I started this, and now we're starting to hit hard, and we've had a lot of detriments and a lot of setbacks, but my team is loyal, a good portion of it, and they stuck in, and you're going to see real fireworks, so you're going to see some real value creation. I mean, truly valuable value creation, heretofore unseen by me, and I pay attention. Okay? Goodbye, everybody. Sayonara, zaijian, au revoir, peace, bye.